and how early childhood playing an important role in a human life. So first we'll just start with the Mentimeter. So it's about which word best describes your teaching style? Guide, a leader, or an observer, or a facilitator? So I want you to go to the Mentimeter link. I'll share this code in the chat. I want you all to give your inputs here. Which word best describes your teaching style? Guide, a leader, or an observer, or a facilitator, or even a mother.
Many of you are using the chat box, which is good, but we request you to use the Mentimeter, please. Renu, they are using the chat box. If you want, you can check the chat box also.
Okay, ma'am. Okay. Yeah, observer, friend, facilitator, guide, yeah, mother, guide, mentor, director. Yes. So it is important for everyone. So whatever role we play, so childhood in enhancing their, ability to reach their full potential is very important. So let's begin by understanding two key terms in the early childhood: growth and development. What do you think growth and development? What is the term growth and development means? Can you use chat box? Growth and development. Yeah, growth, physical, social, emotional. Yes. So it's a changes. Yeah, it is a changes. Development in skills, all over growth. Okay. Okay. So you might have noticed that a newborn baby can't sit without support, but by around 4 months, an infant begins to sit with support, even for a minute. By the time if they reach 9 months, they can sit without support even for 10 minutes or more than. So as children grow into toddlers between the ages of 1 to 3 years, we notice big changes, right? So in both physical abilities and behavior. So you might have some questions like this brings up some interesting question, which is, do children of same age group experience the same changes? Is there a predictable pattern in how children grow and develop? So what are the factors influence these changes? So we are going to explore on these questions by understanding. So growth means it is a quantitative changes, which means it refers to height, weight, which we can measure, which will be evident. The growth will be evident for us. Whereas development it is a qualitative change. It happens, it's example, emotions, thinking, behavior. So growth refers to quantitative changes in the body. In simple terms, we can say it as, taller, we can measure the height, weight, and the changes in the body proportion. So these are the changes which are visible, apparent, and which is measurable. The most rapid growth happens in the first 2 years of a child. or, of any human being who's born. The newborn, first 2 years of a life is very important. After 2 years, growth slows down until, puberty, which then brings another growth spurt. So we have many different ways of measuring growth. We have growth chart here. I will show you that. So we can measure growth using, like this birth. The weight of a children will be 3.3 kilogram and 50 grams, 50.5 centimeter height. So if a child grows in 6 months, it is 7.8 kilogram approximately, 67.8 centimeter is the height. So with this, we can evidently measure the growth. So development, whereas development on the other hand is about the qualitative change. Qualitative change, changes in how a child thinks, behaves, and feels and interacts. It includes things like cognitive skills, which means, it's all about brain, how they think, how a child learns and thinks. Emotional maturity, how they express, understand emotions. It's about the social behavior, how they relate to others, how they identify themselves later. So unlike growth and development is not easily measured, we can't simply use a scale or ruler. Instead, we observe how a child behaves, learns, and responds over time. Development includes, key areas such as language development, motor skills, social and emotional development, thinking and problem solving abilities. These changes may vary slightly from one child to the other. We can't say, all these happens for every children at the same age. So each child is unique and different, child to another, but they generally follow predictable patterns, which we as educator or a mother or anyone who's with children has to understand the child development and the theory behind child growth. So next, it's about the growth chart we already have discussed. So there are some principles for the development. Development is continuous and involves changes. As we said, development is a qualitative change. We can only observe and, we have the milestones also. We'll see that later. So development is continuous. It happens over time and involves changes. As somebody said, growth is changes, right? Yes, it involves changes. It doesn't happen all at once, but through steady progress. And also development is sequential. And it has pattern of development proceeds in two directions. There are two, which is the first one is, the proximal distal is where the development happens from center of the body to the body outward. It is horizontal way of development. And cephodal is something where the patterns in two directions. It happens vertically. It is important to remember that development is a mix of maturation, which means, maturation is a natural growth where it happens which happens for everyone, and learning, which is shaped by experience and environment. Learning, it is mainly focusing, it is actually experience and how a child gets experience from the birth, till the adulthood. There are always individual difference in how children grow. So, as I told you, each child is developed the child develops as a unified whole. And finally, the child develops as a unified whole, which means physically they develop, emotionally, socially, and cognitive areas are all interconnected and influence on one another. It is interconnected. And now it is comparing growth and development. So growth, you all know the growth meaning? Physical and quantitative change, which means we can measure it. It is visible and external changes. So as I told you, the first 2 years is very important for child growth. So it just slows down until puberty with a great growth. So how do we track it? We'll use the milestones to check the growth. Then it may be, gender difference pattern same. It will not be, same for boys and girls. Usually there will be slight changes in the gender. Example, increase in weight, height, body proportion. Development is something qualitative changes in abilities, behavior, and attitude. It will not be, we cannot measure it. It is not evident, not easily measurable. Based on skills and behavioral observation, we can, measure it. And what is the nature of change? Internal, and it is functional and behavioral changes. So when it comes to speed, development is very gradual, only through experience and perception. The environment around them, which will help them to, grow. Development will happen in that way, gradual and continuous throughout the life. And then how do we track it? Observed through developmental milestones. We have milestones for each and every domain. I'll tell you what is domain. And then gender. It comes to gender, no major gender-based pattern differences. So example, learning to talk, reasoning, emotional maturity. So it happens gradually and it is continuous throughout the life. Then I request you all to use the Mentimeter. The same code. So what comes to your mind when you hear early childhood development? You can give your inputs. What comes to your mind when you hear early childhood development? Getting the response in the chat. Self-awareness, yes. Emotional control, changes in mind, yes. Self-regulation, growth, physical development, skills starting to develop, yes. Physical development, okay. So it's about behavior. Development of skills, yes, of course. Well-being, yes, well-being. Speaking skills, social and emotional development, yes. Awareness of surroundings and environment, yes. Holistic development, very good. We're going to talk about the term. Emotional, motor development, development holistically. Okay, we'll see. உடல் மற்றும் மன வளர்ச்சி is recognizing the surroundings, tantrums, identifying people around, change in features, coordination, yes, understanding. Awareness, yes, it's about milestones, physical changes, yes. Yes. So somebody said it's about milestones. So we are going to see the milestones. We have different categories in this. Infancy, which means from birth till 3 years. Early childhood, which means the age of child age from 4 to 6 is early childhood. Then primary, 6 to 12. And beyond it, it is secondary, lower secondary and higher secondary. Then comes the adulthood, right? So we're going to see one by one in detail. So milestones in different domains. So see, as we look at how children grow and develop, it helps to understand the key stages from birth to 12 years. So now we have breakdown it. And now it is about the physical development of the children from 0 to 12 months. So first physical development, you can see the newborn. It is the fetal posture, holds chin up in 1 month. In 2 months, the child holds chest up. It just tries. Then 4 months sits when supported. So like that, development, we can see the physical development. But we can measure it. It is evident. And also it is rapid. As I told you, the first 2 years of the human life is very precious because the rapid growth happens at that time. And then it comes to motor skills. It is of birth to 3 years. What motor skills develops in the child is infant tries to lift the head and turn it. Then stretching and kicking. Then grasping things around. Then eye coordination in 0 to 3 years. No eye coordination. Hearing, respond to sound of the mother or familiar voices, right? You might have experienced this. Vision, focus on the mother's face and begin to observe complex designs, various colors and sizes and shapes. Then what about communication? Only by crying. Then 4 to 6 months, it's about arms and leg wiggle and kick more purposefully. Then only the motor skills, gross motor and fine motor, both hands and legs, keeps working like rocks on their stomach and better head control, sitting without support. As I told you, sitting without support for less than 1 minute. Then eye coordination starts eye coordination, transfer object from one hand to other. The child tries to hold the big objects first. Then later, they'll try to hold the small objects using fingers. Then about vision, distinguishes between strange and familiar faces. Yes, around the environment. Turn the head toward bright colors, toys, and actions. In communication of 4 months old, babble, gurgle and laugh, begin to pick up the components of speech, which means they'll observe from us and they'll try to grasp the word and, imitate. And 7 months, the gradual growth happens here. Then about 10 to 12 months, it's the same. Then it is the milestones from infancy to 5 years. It is given by World Health Organization. It is a growth chart of World Health Organization from 0 to 5 years. Then gross motor, they have given in detail. The social smile happens in 2 months because they don't know, just they'll see smile in 2 months. 4 months, head control. They'll head the children will get the hold of the head control. Then 8 months, they'll sit. Then 10 months, they'll crawl. It is sequential development. Growth is sequential and the development happens like this. Standing alone. Then if they'll just throw a ball. It's like that. It happens in sequential manner. The same way, fine motor. In 4 months, they'll hold objects with both the hands. Then immature pencil grasp. Mature pencil grasp in 12 months. Exploring drawers. Then they'll scribble with pencils and crayons, which is a pre-skill for writing. Then drawing vertical and horizontal lines in 2 years. This is the sequential manner of, the fine motor development. This is the milestones of social and communication from infancy to 5 years. Then social smile, it's 2 months. Babbling, social development happens in this way. Then pulling to show desired object in 2 years. Then 4 years telling rhymes and stories. Then 5 years dresses and undresses. Then about language and social skills, the milestones, it is in this way. Then 2 meaningful words in 12 months. Yeah, they'll first babble, then 2 letter words, then 2 meaningful words, combining 2 words with meaning in 2 years, doing 2-step command, like say, mama come, like that, combining 3 words with meaning. It's like that. This is in the language and social development. Then when it comes to sensory, vision, it is about follows dangling toy or red bangle. They'll will try to give them the touch of the sensory also. Will stimulate the sensory part also. Then about the domains. So we have seen the milestones. Now, now how can we say that the children have grown in only the child grows in one particular domain? Do we say it is a holistic development? No, right? So the children has to grow. Child development means it has to be achieved only through all the domains. So physical and motor, which means growth of the body and development of gross and fine motors. Then about social development is all about how children understand themselves and others and how they manage feelings. Then moral development, we all know, knowing moral development helps children learn right from wrong and make good choices, right? Cognitive development, it involves thinking. It's all about the brain development, thinking, problem solving, and learning new concepts. That the brain development also is very important in the first 2 years of the child's life. Then about language development includes listening, speaking, understanding, and early reading skills. So these areas are all connected, and like you see in the image, and each one supporting the other as children grow. You know. Now it's Kahoot. I want you to use this Kahoot. I'll share the link in the chat. Just a minute. This is just a small check on what we have read. I have given the link, Kahoot link in the chat. Kindly use it. Okay, I'll start it. Have you all joined? Can you show thumbs up? So at what age do most children say first word? So it's actually 12 months. Okay, we'll go to the next. Which of the following is a sign of cognitive development in early childhood? So it's actually sorting objects by shape or color, which is cognitive means it's all about brain. Oh, Devani ma'am, well done. Saying two-word phrases like mama come usually happens around what age? You have 8 seconds more. Yes, it's actually 24 months. Then, yeah. What type of development is involved when a child learns to share toys with others? It's all about the domain. Yeah, it's social development. Good, good. Which of the following is an example of fine motor skill development? Yes, it's drawing a circle. Fine motor is all about, fingers, finger movements. Yes. Match the milestone. Pretend play begins. Yes, it's actually 2 years. Good. A child who asks why repeatedly is developing which skill? Yes, it's cognitive thinking. Good. True or false? By age 5, children can usually speak in full sentences. Yes, it's true. Thank you. Next, we'll continue. How early life shapes lifelong development. So we'll see the first one is it's about the brain development. So if you see this chart, it shows the brain development from birth, 2 months, till the adulthood. So in 2 months, what are the milestones they can reach? Begin to smile at people, self-soothing, look at parents, then coo and gurgling, reacts to sounds, then follow and focuses on people. They'll call us by crying, cries when no change in activity. Hold head up, make smoother movements. So in 1.5 years, the brain grows half of the full size. Then begins to interact with others by playing, tend to caregivers, avoid strangers. Several words points to needs. Then knows common objects, full verbal commands. Walk alone, drink and eat independently. They want to be independent in that age. 6 years milestone, it is about wants to please others, agrees with rules, wants to play, dance, sing and act, speaks clearly in full sentences. So you have observed the red color words, which is all about social and emotional development, and the yellow color words, which represents the language or communication. Then it's about the cognitive domain, green color. Then the purple color, it is about the movements and physical changes. So when they are 18 years, the brain grows completely as they are adult. So if you see this chart, this highlights how important the early years are for learning and stimulation. Talking, singing, it happens 0 to 7 years. Preschool years is very important where all the domains simultaneously gets developed. That is what they say it has sensitive period in early brain development. So it's very important. Now it's about, we have the we have a video to watch on the importance of brain development with the term servant written. I'll share the screen.
What if I was to tell you that a game of peekaboo could change the world? Sounds impossible, right? Well, I'm here today to prove it's not. Hi, I'm Molly, and I'm 7, and this is my little friend Ari. Say hi, Ari. Hi. Oh, and this is my neighbour, Amajot. He has to take Ari away now to get ready for our experiment. But don't worry, they'll be back. My talk today is about some powerful things you grown-ups can do that shape us as children and the adults we become. How do I know? Because my parents and people around me did them, early and often. I know not all kids are as lucky. Some of my friends some kids at my school and many around the world. And I would really like to help change that. Thanks to scientists, we now know just how important the first 5 years are for our health and development, especially our brains. Ari started learning long before he was even born, from inside his mummy's tummy. When Ari was born, he was tiny, and he cried all the time. He was always hungry, and he pooped a lot. Now, he laughs and giggles and makes funny noises. But those are just the changes we hear and see. There's way more going on inside. So, let's talk more about our brains. The blue bag is the rough size and weight of a healthy baby's brain at birth. The red one is a baby's brain after the first year. It almost doubles in volume. And by my age, it's almost 90% the volume of an adult brain. Our brains develop faster in our early years than at any other time in our lives. It can create up to 1 million neural connections every second. But we need your help. Our healthy development depends on these top 5 things. 1, connecting. 2, talking. 3, playing. 4, a healthy home. 5, community. All of this helps our brains and does reach our full potential. So what's something you can do that can really make a difference? Scientists call it serve and return. That's just a grown-up way of saying connect, talk, and play with us. And here's the really big news. Amajot, Ari, you ready?
Ready?
Copycat games build imagination and empathy.
And
Naming games build vocabulary and attention.
is it Daddy? Ari! Daddy? Ari!
And games like Peekaboo, yep, Peekaboo, actually build memory and trust. Each time you talk to us, play with us, make us laugh, it not only builds and strengthens our relationships and mental health, it actually teaches us some of the most important life skills. From making friends, to taking the test, to getting a job, to one day maybe even starting a family of our own. Interactions early and often matter. Take it from me, the 7-year-old up here, talking about brain science. Okay, now, let's see what happens when the connection is taken away. So now he's trying to get his dad's attention again. He's reaching out like, that was fun, why have you stopped? I know it's important for adults to use their devices sometimes, but kids are hardwired to seek out meaningful connections. Not receiving them causes confusion and stress. Okay, Amajot, please re-engage.
Ari! Okay.
Now, what if a whole childhood was like that last 30 seconds? How hard it would be for a child to feel calm, to feel safe, to learn to trust anyone, and the lifelong impact that would have. That makes me feel sad. Ari only reacted the way he did and recovered so quickly because the connection between him and his dad is usually so strong. The positive relationships with the grown-ups in our lives gives kids the confidence we need to try new things, to explore, and be a kid. So please try and remember, the most special period for our development is the first 5 years, starting from inside Mummy's tummy. What's something really impactful you can do? Serve and return. And when? Early and often. Please give it up for Amachot and Ari.
Yes. Can you use chat to give in your inputs about this video on servant written? How important it is for the early childhood development, the brain development? Can you give your inputs in the chat? Okay, 1 minute. Yes, interactive talking of parents with kid is very important. Yes. Great information. The 5 years old set the stage for the development. Yes, parents listening, giving attention and being present is very crucial. Yes. So it is very important for a child development from till the age of 5 years, the brain develops rapidly. So now we'll talk about the neurodevelopment. Neurodevelopment involves the growth of babies' brain from birth, enabling them to develop essential skills like head control, language, and motor functions. Then other part of it is sustained stimulation. We have to stimulate it like how normal brain development requires continuous sensory stimulation from the environment. That is what the servant written in the video you have watched, right? It's about the stimulation, which stimulates sight, touch, hearing, taste, and smell. Then brain development timeline. Brain development is rapid during early years with 90% brain weight developed by age 2. When we talk about brain cells, and in that video, the child has talked about the brain cells and the connections. The brain reaches its maximum number of cells by age 2. After that, 1 minute. Can you see the screen? We'll reshare it. Can you see the screen now? Yeah, okay. So it's about the brain cells. It reaches its maximum number of cells by age 2. After that, no new neurons are formed. So when the age 2, the rapid growth happens in till age 2. So it is very crucial. So now my question for you is, how do you respond when a child serves you with a question, a gesture, or even just a look? How do you respond to them? How do you respond when a child serves you with a question, a gesture, or even just a look? How important it is for a child to serve and return with a gesture, okay, in positive way. Okay, we'll move on to the slides. So it's about the importance of play, like how brain development and brain growth is important in early childhood. It is important for us to, do servant written as well as the play in early childhood. So it supports cognitive development, which is brain development again, like problem solving, enhances language skill, memory, increases memory, encourages social skills like sharing, cooperation, and empathy. Then it also strengthens motor skills, fine motor and gross motors, which will help them to coordinate also, boosts creativity and imagination, forming the basics of future learning. So now we have another short video on play. Yes, now we know that play is very important for the brain development of an earlier child. So play is how young children make sense of the world. It fuels brain development by strengthening neural connections. That is what the servant in the servant written video, the child explained about the neural connections. It gets stronger more we do servant written and play. So all the domains are interrelated. Through play, children can build cognitive skills, develop language, then practice social emotional regulation, and refine motor abilities. And it touches every domain. It is, as I told you, it touches every domain. Every domain is interconnected. So the domains are physical, emotional, social, moral, cognitive, and language, making play essential. It's not optional. Yes, do you agree with me? Yes, yes. Thank you. Next comes the developmental theories. Here today I have taken 4 developmental theories that I want to share it with you. The first one is Montessori method, and then the Pigot's theory, then Waldorf education philosophy, and IB approach. I know you all, or you might have, experienced this, but still we'll go. I'll give you a brief of all the theories. So when it comes to Montessori method, we are going to talk about the key principles of Montessori education. And Maria Montessori, the woman who revolutionized education, right? So most kindergarten schools are Montessori based, right? At least it has a touch of the Montessori philosophy. Then she is an Italian physician and educator. She observed that children learn naturally when placed in the right environment, which means she talks about the prepared environment. I'll explain that in detail. Developed a scientific child-centered approach to education. So her goal is to support natural development of the child's intellect, movement, and social. So she has touched upon the domains, cognitive, motor skills, and then social. Then the key principles of Montessori education, the 4 planes of development, sensitive periods, role of adult and assistant. Then we're going to talk about the observation. First, it's about the Montessori method, key principles. So what are the key principles? It's a child-centered learning with freedom of choice, respect for the child individuality, hands-on materials, and we'll give real-world tasks. Then we'll give independence to the children, those who are working in the Montessori setting, and they'll have, will reinforce on the self-discipline. Then prepared environment tailored to developmental needs, which means developmental needs means it is the developmental milestones. Then when it comes to the 4 planes of development, these are the milestones, the different developmental stages given by Maria Montessori. The first plane is from 0 to 6 years. If you look at the chart, the picture, it says from 0 to 6 years, she called it as infancy. 6 to 12 years is childhood. 12 to 18 years is adolescence. 18 to 24 is maturity, which means the adulthood. Then the first plane, it is about the unconscious, then conscious absorption of knowledge. It happens in the age of 0 to 6 years. Here, physical and biological independence, the child try to attain physical and biological independence, because we can control them if they, shake their hands and legs, right? So they'll try to get the control of it. Then they'll focus on the language, movement, order, and social norms, which means they'll observe the environment around them and they will try to grasp things. Montessori early years classroom focuses here. I mean, here we focus on the developmental milestones, which she talked in absorbent mind and individual personality. Then it comes to 6 to 12 years. It's about the reasoning mind. She'll call the 0 to 6 years infancy period as absorbent mind. And then second plane, 6 to 12 years, she call it as the reasoning mind. Have you observed the children from 6 to 12 years age groups asking questions, why, how, all the questions? Have you experienced that? So why? Because they are curious. They want to involve in the social, development, loves big ideas. Then elaboration of mind and personality. Their personality gets developed. Then the brain. So it is parallelly the brain development, mental independence also. They'll think, we can't control their thinking. They'll ask why question always. That is what the reasoning mind. They'll try to get answer for all the questions. Then the third period, it is about 12 to 18 years. Maria Montessori calls this 12 to 18 years as adolescence, where development of social policy. The child develops socially. And also it is identity. They'll learn to identify themselves. Then they want to be independent. And we can see the emotional growth in the child. They need real life experience and mentorship in that period, 12 to 18 years, the adolescence period. Then comes the fourth plane, that is about from 18 to 24 years. She calls this as maturity. And here self-awareness and social contributions, happens because the brain developed completely here. Then spiritual and moral independence, they'll try to attain. Then the quote by Maria Montessori, development is a series of rebirths. She calls each developmental milestones as rebirths. As it's all about theory, we learn the brief of it. Next comes the sensitive period. Sensitive period means it talks about the brain, right? So Montessori identified specific time frames when children are especially receptive to learning certain skills. That is what she calls this as sensitive periods. These periods are temporary, but powerful for development. The Montessori environment provides materials to support each sensitive period. In this chart, in this brain graph, this graph shows how baby's brain develops in stages. In first year, the brain rapidly building connections, especially vision and hearing. Vision and hearing. In the graph, the yellow line represents the sensory path, which is vision and hearing. Then language skill. Simultaneously, language skill starts, developing, grows quickly, peaking around 9 months. Can you see? It is peaking around 9 months. Then after that, thinking and learning skills grows, called higher cognitive function, the red line, keep developing steadily through the early years and beyond. Can you see the red line, which shows the brain development from the early years, from the early childhood? So if you see the table, it shows the developmental sensitive periods for each domain. 0 to 6 years, it is about the language enhancement. Simultaneously, order and movement. Movement means it is about the domain, physical domain. Then 0 to 6 years, small objects, fine motor, right? Which means gross motor is the movements, fine motor is the small objects, holding fingers, holding some objects using hands. It's like that. So 2 to 6 years, it's about the social behavior. So 2.5 to 6 years, it's about writing and reading. Then we'll talk about the role of adults in the Montessori environment. The role of, we'll call them adult in the Montessori environment as a guide, where she creates, maintains. Their job is to set up the classroom in a way that helps children learn on their own. This is what we call it as prepared environment. We'll set the class ready for the children to work. We are here, we will be there to support and observe. Observation plays a main role in the Montessori environment and steps back to let the child lead, which is what we'll call it as freedom to the child, which will help them to encourage problem solving and independence. That is her philosophy, the Montessori philosophy of the prepared environment. Then we'll talk about Pigot's cognitive developmental theory. Then he has come up with cognitive development and the moral. If you observe this picture here, Pigot believed that children are active learners who build knowledge through experiences. Instead of simply absorbing information, children construct their understanding as they interact with the world, which means it's more of play. Pigot identified the 4 stages. Can you see the 4 stages on the picture? It's the sensory motor. It is from it is a sensitive period of child intellectual development given by Pigot. Then it's from birth to 2 years. Then pre-operational, birth to 2 years, sensory motors develops, which means the babies explore through senses and movements, the 5 senses, right? And the movements. Pre-operational stage is from 2 to 7 years, where the children think in images and language, but are still egocentric. But still, they are egocentric means where their mental power gets developed. Concrete operational means it is from 7 to 12 years. They'll understand the world through logical thinking and categories. The why question comes here. When we connect it with Montessori philosophy, the why question, the reasoning mind and the adolescent's mind, where it creates the why question. So they'll believe the logical thinking and the categories. Then formal operational, 12 years onwards. Thinking logically, Teens begin thinking abstractly and reasoning about ideas. That understanding they will attain only in the age of 12 years. Then he talked about the moral development. She talked about the moral development. There are two types of morality, which is heteronomous morality. It is from 5 to 10 years. Heteronomous means rules, which are the rules are fixed, right and wrong are based on consequences. They'll believe that. Then autonomous morality means which is about the rules are flexible. Okay, we can change the rules sometimes. That moral knowledge they'll attain from the age 11. Children begin to consider intentions and fairness. That is what the moral development. It talks about the right and wrong. Then moral thinking grows as their cognitive ability develops. That is what the Wiget's moral theory about. Then when we talk about Waldorf, education, philosophy, Rudolf Steiner, he is he has given this philosophy. He is a German Austrian origin, philosopher and scientist. He believed in sense of individuality and personal freedom. So his cycle, Waldorf education cycle goes like this. First, the first main thing in Waldorf is the holistic development, where all domains comes in. Then the rhythm and routine that can be achieved through play, stories, all that. Then the third one, it is about the imagination and creativity. Then the fourth, social and emotional learning. Then the fifth, connection to nature. Then about sixth, it is teacher as a role model. Then we see the stages, developmental stages, Waldorf have given. Age, birth to 6 years, birth to 6 or approximately 7. They'll try to build upon parents and surroundings. They'll try to be always with parents or caregivers, those are with them. Then social relationship, it will not happen. It will happen only in the 13 to 14 years. Then the learning stage linked with activity. He says more of play, stories. Then it comes the cognitive stage. Birth to 6 to 7 years builds self-experience. Then from 13 to 14 years, relationship, stronger connection with schools and friends, learning through emotions. Then the child develops self-worth. Then from 20 to 21 years, engagement with the wider world. The child becomes conscious, the adult becomes conscious about the reflective learning, then gains self-assurance. So more or less, we can just connect this with the Montessori way, Montessori philosophy also. Then we'll talk about the role of teachers in Waldorf setting. He has given educators create an environment conducive to meaningful play. So which means he talked about the prepared environment, offering open-ended materials that spark imagination to the children. Why? Because he talks about the cognitive development of the early child. Then observation, watching children's play to understand their developmental needs. Then gentle guidance. That is how the intervention happens minimally, allowing children to resolve conflicts. Here he talks about the independence also. Then we'll have its Menti time. Which theory do you connect with most? I will give the link in the chat. You can go to Mentimeter, you can enter this code. Which theory do you connect with most? Waldorf, okay. Dear participants, I have given the code for the Mentimeter in the chat. Yes, Maria Montessori. Okay, Maria Montessori. I'll check the response. Unable to access Mentimeter. I've given the link. Montessori. Okay. I got 2 responses. Which theory do you connect with most? Montessori, Waldorf. Okay. Okay, I'll check the chat. Okay, Waldorf. I think we collaborate all. Okay, collaboration, the IB way. Change packet. Waldorf. Okay. Okay. So here we'll talk about the early childhood. So all theorists have emphasized on the sensitive period where the brain development is rapid and we need to give the stimulation in an independent way. So that is what our understanding. Okay, then we'll compare the Montessori, Waldorf, and IB approach. I think most of you know the IB approach. It is all about the inquiry way, theme based. We'll focus on the learner profile, skills. So we'll just focus. Philosophy of Montessori is child-led, which means child-centric. Montessori is child-led and hands-on. The teacher is a guide there, and kids learn at their own pace using real-life practical activities. And also technology used is limited, and learning is assessed by observing the child. Observation is very important in the Montessori setup, where we'll focus on the developmental domains and the interventions will record everything through observation. Whether a child needs support or all that things we'll record. I mean, we'll analyze only through observation, observing a child. Then Waldorf focuses on the whole child. It uses imagination, rhythm, and creativity. Teachers acts as a storytellers. Learning is guided and artistic with little to, I mean, they'll use less of technology. Testing is usually not done in early years. but they'll have the milestone check by observing the child. Then in the IB approach is inquiry based and it is global. The teacher is a co-learner and students work together to explore big ideas. Learning includes many subjects together, which means, integration, and technology used is meaningful. We'll use the technologies meaningfully. Assessment includes student reflection and ongoing feedbacks, summative, formative, like that. Then each approach supports children in different ways, helping them grow in their own unique style in their early childhood, which will help them to be a lifelong learner, right? Do you agree with me? I can't see your response. Yes, yes. Okay, thank you. Next, again, I want to use the Mentimeter to give a word or a phrase. What do you value most in an early educational approach? If somebody have questions. I'll give the code in the chat. Dear participants, you can use the same link. In one word, what do you value most in early childhood educational approach? Co-learning, okay. Guidance. Somebody have questions? Saiful Islam? Yes. Understanding child's thought process, play-based learning, co-learning, child's feeling, communication. Do you agree that we need to give guidance for the children, early child, to develop on all domains, physical, emotional, cognitive, moral? Yes, child thought process, communication, developing relations, social is social development. Play-based, curiosity, care, yes. Holistic development, yes. Holistic development means which touches upon all the domains. So we have to focus on all the domains. Empowerment, child's feeling, care, yes. Thank you for your response. Next comes the Okay, we know the philosophy theory of the Montessori, Waldorf, and IB approach, and few theorists who have, given importance for the early childhood. Why? Because we have this much theorists who have focused mainly on the early childhood learning, and we know the first few years of the child's life is very important because all the domains rapid growth happens in the earlier age. So now we are going to see how we are going to plan the engagements for a classroom based on this early childhood theory. What are the checklist? So I'm going to share you the checklist. Whatever activity or engagements you plan, which touches upon all the domains. So these are the elements. Philosophy. So we are touching upon the philosophy. If you take IB school, we have to be taking the concepts in inquiry based way, but still the early childhood development basic philosophy we should include in that. So does the activity support child-led exploration? So for example, if you plan an activity, it should give the importance for the child to explore more. So which means here we'll talk about the independence and creativity, freedom, then which also should be an inquiry based learning. Here the role of the teachers should be like, will the teacher act as a guide or storyteller or co-learner in this activity? We should decide, like if when we design the activity, we should know like what role we are going to play as a teacher. So now when it comes to curriculum structure, is the activity practical, imaginative, or integrated across multiple subjects? So that it will, it will guide you like how you have to act. Learning style. Does the does the activity allow self-paced, hands-on, or collaborative? So mostly here we'll be giving the hands-on material. Why? Because it will enhance their senses. It will stimulate their senses. It will stimulate their brain development. So it should be like touch, feel, and learn. It should be a collaborative way also where the social development happens. Then when it comes to environment, is the environment warm, stimulating, or suited to child's needs? So it's about the safety and how prepared an environment. Here we should focus on the prepared environment also. If it is a classroom, it should be prepared for the earlier child or anyone, right? Any classroom setting should be an prepared environment for the children. Then what area are going to focus on? Does the activity promote independence, creativity, global thinking, or life skills? Then if you're planning to use the technology, whether it is meaningful or intentional, I mean, you're avoiding it for developmental reasons, it's fine, up to you, because we are talking about the early childhood. So it should be age appropriate also. So if you are assessing them mostly through observation, is there a way to observe, reflect on all that? You will plan this is going to be a checklist for you to design any activity for the earlier child. I hope you have got some insights for your classrooms or your home or any environment the children is available, right? So we should not act as a teacher always for the earlier child. We should be sometimes as a guide, observer, a facilitator, a supporter for the child's development to develop upon all the 5 domains of the human development. Yes. Next, I'm done with. You can give your questions in the chat. And I want you to take this. I will give you this link for the feedback link in the chat. Kindly give your feedback.
Renu, is that the same link, right? Which Masterminds link only, right? The feedback one?
No, ma'am. Apart from that, I have one more link.
Don't do that. It will get pretty confused. Only add that
Okay,
one.
I'll give the attendance link. Okay.
Yes, give the attendance link. It has a feedback also in that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, yeah.
Dear participants, kindly give your feedback in the attendance link.
share the attendance link. Yeah. Thank you, Renu, for this wonderful session, and it was
Thank you,
wonderful.
ma'am.
Uh,
Thank you, everyone, for patiently listening to me. The theoretical part of the early childhood, I know it's somewhat you have to sit and listen, but still it's a theory, right? So thank you all of you for attending this session. Yes, ma'am.
Renu, I'm sorry, Renu, then stop this because this is not the same QR code of the attendance, right?
Yeah, okay. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Uh, Participants, we are sharing this QR code or this attendance link. I request all of you to fill it, and this will be active till tomorrow morning. Then we'll be generating the certificates. So requesting all of you to please do so.